Hi there, I'm Dawn Mead, and I'm here with my co-host Kelly Perkins today for another AVSocial. Today we are joined by several special guests, and we're going to be talking about the topic outsourcing your social media and your marketing for integrators. So lots to learn, and take it away, Kelly. Introduce our guests if you could.
Today we have Kelly Ahern with Castor Communications and Colleen Stearns-Leith with Marketing Matters. Thank you both for joining our show tonight. Kelly, I was hoping maybe you could just give us a little bit of background about you and what you do at Castor Communications.
Sure. Thanks so much, Kelly. So I am a senior account executive at Castor Communications, and we handle a variety of PR and social media programs for a handful of manufacturers across our industry, anywhere from pro AV to home automation and security, traditional AV, as well as a lot of buying groups and distributor alliances. So in that, I get to work with a lot of really great dealers from across the nation on their individual programs and events as well. So it's a really nice mix of working both with the product as well as the professionals.
Okay, thank you very much. And Colleen, we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kelly. I'm Colleen Stearns-Leith with Marketing Matters. We've been working in the Infocom media channels for over 17 years now. I'm the founder of the company, and we have a similar practice to that of Kelly's at Castor, where we work with virtually everybody in the channel, from your dealers, your reps, your distributors, manufacturers, and again, providing them with the program that they need to meet their budget and their goals.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us this evening, ladies. One of the first things we wanted to talk about is, here in the AV world, we're a very weird little niche. We don't quite fit in the traditional IT model. We're getting there. We don't really fit in facilities. We don't really fit in corporate. I've always said, we're not really blue collar. We're not really white collar. We're kind of like baby blue collar, if that makes sense. So when AV companies are looking for marketing assistance, if they even think about, devoting some energies and some monies into marketing, we tend to fall into a couple of camps. Your big companies, of course, your AVISPLs and Whitlocks and the giant guys, they have the money and the resources. They just hire internally. They hire folks from advertising and marketing firms and build their own. And then all the little mom and pops, boutique companies, the little guys, we're a lot more entrepreneurial. We tend to DIY everything. One guy runs the whole company and does a little bit of everything, whatever is needed to happen. And so if they devote any money or time to marketing, it tends to be kind of flying by the seat of your pants, winging it, or DIY. So what are the benefits for an integrator, small or large, to outsourcing our marketing or our social media to a company like yours? Colleen,
well,
go with you.
First, it all depends on how busy the integrator is. If it's a successful integrator, they have to look at what it costs them to do their own marketing. So if they're better off, rolling trucks and keeping jobs going than doing that marketing, it probably makes sense for them to consider it just strictly from a financial sense. Other considerations are, time, and then we have creativity. If you're, in this group, yes, you understand your business. You're giving it sufficient time for these ideas to develop and then to implement them. And in many instances, best laid plans, and then they don't get carried out. And these days, there's just so many options for, low cost tools to help your marketing. And every integrator, every business needs to have a variety of marketing tools. You really have to have 8 to 10 things going at one time and test and measure, and see what's really working for your business.
Right. I guess, Kelly, same question to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree with what Colleen said. I mean, it really does depend on the time and the budget that the integrator has. So if you're really successful, it of course makes sense for you to be continuing your work on your jobs. You don't want to have to worry about answering every tweet or pitching someone on Haro. You need someone else that can do that for you. So what we found really successful, one example is working with some of the buying groups. So Castor represents HTSA, and through that, HTSA has marketing programs for their dealer members. So it allows them to work with a PR firm at a discounted budget, at discounted rates, so they can get that support that fits with, again, their budget, fits within the means of what they can spend, but allows them to have that sort of insider who's got their finger on the pulse of all things marketing. And then it really nicely complements with the vendors who are part of a buying group, for example, because it allows us to work with both the vendors and the dealers together. And any dealer can really do that. So if you're working with a PR firm on your own, letting us know who your key vendors are, and then piggybacking off of some of the marketing that they're doing, whether it's a specific social media campaign or email blast or a product launch, that's really the benefit of an integrator working with a PR and marketing firm, is that we're able to pull all of those pieces together and take a lot of that extra work off of their shoulders for them.
So where would you advise, like, a typical, maybe say 25-person integration firm, where would you advise they start?
That would depend on where they're currently at. So, first thing is the website decent? Are just the foundation-based systems in place?
Okay.
And then, certainly social media is a great place to start. It's an opportunity to have those conversations. Yet, all the best laid plans. I've seen integrators, social media sites that go from 2 followers, their mother and their wife, to 3,500 for a niche lighting company. So it just totally depends on how they work it or who they have help them with it. Also, because for the most part, except for the really larger ones, the mom and pops are local based. So they want to do things like make sure their Google Places is up to date and that people can find them, and do Yext and do Yelp and Angie's List, and get these search engines, these services have far more SEO power than any of our sites combined will ever have. And you need to take advantage of those really low-cost tools to help bring traffic in through your website. The variety of tools. So, I think a lot of digital things are probably the most economical things for folks to start with. Again, a medium to larger size, a 25-person company may have somebody in-house, and yet they're looking for that extra public relations coverage, those articles, those awards, those case studies with their manufacturers. So again, a variety of tools depending on what stage the company is in and where they want to go.
Okay.
I guess same question, Kelly?
Yeah, Colleen is right again. The website really is the most important piece before you get started with any type of marketing, social media, PR program. I say that to all of the dealers that I talk to. Your website is your digital front door, so you have to make sure that it's giving a great first impression, because any amount of social media that you do or editorial coverage that you get, when we're driving traffic to that website, if it doesn't sell someone and capture their attention, then you lost that potential conversion right there. So making sure that the website is in tip-top, shape is so important, and that goes beyond just the copy and the SEO, but also the images, and that you've got, if you are active on social media, you have all of your, various social media links and icons so people know where else to follow you and find you. And then from there, it really is looking at the news cadence and what you want to achieve, whether it's a 6-month program, a year-long program. We really encourage all clients, whether you're a dealer or a buying group or a manufacturer, to think on a 12-month scale. So, if you're a mid-sized integration firm, 25 plus people, you've probably got a good idea of some events that are happening, whether you're hosting trainings or if you're going to be bringing on a new line over the next couple of weeks. Start mapping out those news elements and putting together a really nice schedule for yourself, because from there you can build in the social media elements, you can build in contributed articles that you might want to pitch out to editorial, to editors, and then really start building a program from there.
Now, I had a question. Colleen, you mentioned, the small companies, the 25 and unders, mom and pops, and just having time. I'm the director of marketing and, let's be honest, the entire marketing department for my mom and pop integrator. And that is one thing I could have 48 hours in a day and I still wouldn't be able to get everything done. So this question could be for either of you. In outsourcing with a company such as yours, is it on a project by project or case by case basis? That I would still drive the marketing, say for my company, and I would bring you guys on for a specific promotion or a specific launch, say, or just just handle the SEO for a few months and we'll see how it goes, or do you guys prefer like the holistic, we are now your marketing department kind of
Well,
thing?
you have to be realistic, and do they have the resources? And you just really have to work with the company to, where are they at? What kind of resources do they have? And then when you do engage with them, once you kind of get a direction there, although they may not have time and they're working those 18-hour days, and we've all seen our integrators we work with do that, and it's you have deadlines. We all have those deadlines. It's critical that they attend the scheduled calls and regular communication, because that's what's going to allow their plan to come to fruition. You have to have some sort of communication and relationship with the folks you're working with to make sure that your voice is heard and goes out. So that's one thing that we ask our integrators. You have to commit to scheduled calls, and the communication is what's going to make things successful. And then
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say, I think it's funny because, you hire on people to help you, whether it's consulting or with this specific, campaign that you're doing, or you want to do, have someone help you with case studies, you name it. But yeah, you have to make sure that your contact within the company is actually there to help you and guide you and show you where you want to go. Otherwise, you're kind of at a loss, I suppose.
Oh, I'm terrible about reading minds.
Well, then that's exactly what it is. So it's almost like as a marketing person in a small company, you're kind of like, you're like, I need help doing this and this and this, and it's almost like you feel a little bit like, you're just giving yourself more work, but at the same time, it's going to be, you put in a little bit of extra, they're going to get to know you, and you guys can create a relationship, and it just, you put the time in, and it pays off.
Because we're just like, oh, I need the yes, no, or product A or B. Come on, we can get going. And back to the first part of the question, Kelly, then I'll stop. I'm sorry, I'm kind of monopolizing here. Project or longer-term commitment, again, that depends on, I'm not sure how you guys work, Kelly. We do both. So because sometimes there's really nicely defined campaigns that make sense, and we'll do those at different times for the clients, and sometimes it's a longer term campaign. Again, it comes down to needs and budget, what's going on, how much can they allocate the time, do they have the budget, and what are the goals for that time, because it's important as you go into those relationships you define what you want out of it at the beginning. So everybody deserves a return on their marketing dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do both as well. I mean, we've seen a lot of success, again, going back to the example of working with, buying groups or alliances where we have specific packages that we build out for those members. So again, whether it's a distributor member or a dealer member, we've seen success with those for sure, where they come to us and say, we're hosting this training expo. Can you help us promote this? Or we just brought on this new particular product category. Can you help us promote this within the channel? And we can certainly do that. And then we've had the dealers that we've worked with. There's actually one I'm working with now who it started as a website project, just wanted some website copy, and from there wanted to start building out some case studies, and then wanted to start pitching himself as an expert in hospitality integration, and how do we take that and really build a campaign from it. And it started with a very small budget, and again has just grown to fit what he can afford and what he wants to accomplish. And what's helped with that example in particular is that he's seen that his communication with us is just as important as our communication with the channel and with the industry writers that he's trying to reach. So as effective as a campaign, an individual campaign can be, I still love to see those campaigns turn into long-term programs because it allows us to have constant communication and build relationships with the press that those integrators want to reach and interact with, both their local press as well as the channel, because you sometimes forget, as wonderful as it would be to see their name in an industry trade publication, it's just as important to get them interacting consistently with their local media, because that's where their customers are. Unless they're reaching a broader range and they're not just one specific geographic region that they're serving, it's really important that they're interacting with their local community and their local media as well. And we found that that comes with building out a longer term program.
Amen.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think furthering that, one of the things that I think holds back a lot of smaller integrators from engaging a third-party marketing or PR person is, you said earlier, I think Colleen said, I'm not that great at reading minds. That's part of the thing, the entrepreneur, the owner of a small integrator, or the management of a small integrator, or the single marketing person for a small integrator gets that company's vision, gets that company's goals and everything. And, I can mind meld with my boss and nobody's trying to say and make it happen. If you're coming in from, Florida or Kelly, you're up in Boston, I think.
Yeah. Providence, yeah.
Yeah, Providence, Rhode Island. If you're not in Baltimore where we are, you can't have that mind meld moment on the spur of the moment to get the ideas to get them across. And I think some integrators are a little afraid, some owners are a little afraid that, like, I'm going to pay all this money for these people to come in and they're not going to get what we're trying to do and they're not going to make it happen and it's going to just be endless meetings of billable hours before we do anything, So I think that that's a good point that, committing to a longer term thing instead of just a single event or a single tweet, for instance,
right.
Kind of builds that relationship, the trust.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's because one of the things, just to jump in quickly, one of the things that we say, because we get a lot of inquiries on social media, can you help us with our social media program? That seems to be a place where integrators just don't have the time because it's a big commitment. And I always tell these guys that you have to think realistic goals. One tweet isn't going to get you 1,000 new Facebook, or 1,000 new followers. One post isn't going to get you 100 new Facebook fans overnight. It really is a longer-term commitment. And it's the same thing with the PR program. I mean, again, like Colleen said, you can have a really successful campaign that made sense. You had all the deliverables. You had what you needed. It was a solid, you had solid content and support around it. But to really see some traction, you do need to invest the time, and it is scary for these guys who they probably never worked with a PR firm before, or they don't really know what to expect. And I think it's important when you're working with a firm that you sit down, you have that conversation up front, and you really lay out what your expectations are, what the goals are, and you track it along the way. I mean, we do our biweekly reports, biweekly calls, monthly clip reports. We're making sure that our clients really understand what they're getting out of every sort of step and piece of their program.
You made an interesting comment there. Sorry to butt in again, but just making sure that they trust you and that they're getting their dollar's worth and that they're getting what they pay for. Because I think a lot of the times integrators and just people in general are a little bit scared of hiring outside help, agency help, PR help. Do you guys find it significantly easier working with integrators because you're so into the industry, or I mean, have a lot of them had negative experiences with like PR firms or agencies outside of the industry? I guess I would frame it.
I've seen that. Yeah, definitely. So it certainly is more appealing for an integrator to work with somebody who understands their business. And although it's their first time figuring out this marketing plan, it's not mine. I've done it a lot of times, and I can, you have those conversations and you get a feel for what folks are comfortable with. Any company, AV, attorney, accounting, plumber, whatever, you really have to use a variety of marketing tools to be successful. I mentioned in the beginning of our podcast here that it 8 to 10 tools. Really, you've got to have, that newsletter going, that, those blog posts on the website, The social media is great. You know, maybe you're doing a little search engine marketing, you know, with pay-per-click campaigns or ad retargeting. There's a ton of tools out there depending on, you know, if you're trying to launch a particular new line, maybe it's a campaign back to your former client base. Lots and lots of options out there, and there should be lots of things going on at any one time, because as we all know, we never know exactly what that tool is that's going to hit at the right time to the right person. Yet eventually it works.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, also too, just, you know, as Colleen had said earlier, Caster's in the same boat. I mean, we've been in the industry, it'll be 17 years in January. So, and it's specific to this industry. So we live and breathe the technology. We understand the integrators, because most of our our manufacturer clients, I mean, that's what they do. That it's all an installed product. So it ends up being a really, you know, nice blend, because you've got the vendor point of view and you can really relate and talk about the products, but then from working with the vendors and working on case studies with their individual integrators, it's easy to make the switch to work with an integrator, because you've done so much of that already from the manufacturer side. So, you know, it allows us to write about the technology in a way that a firm outside of the industry wouldn't be able to. It gives us all of the connections to the channel media that, you know, these guys are looking to connect with and meet and talk with. And so really it's taking all of the experience that firms like the two of ours have had in this industry and just building on it and adding that local touch so that it makes sense for that integrator.
Which I think we're hitting on one of the number one takeaways, I guess, from this podcast for integrators that are listening, and that's, if you're going to outsource your marketing or your social media or any facet of this, make sure it's a company that's, you know, familiar with our weird little niche industry that we mentioned earlier. You know, there's probably 50 PR and marketing companies just in my own county here in Maryland, but none of them are AV or technology marketing and PR firms. So I think if you're listening, folks, make sure you pick a Caster or a Marketing Matters, or I think NetSertive. There's a few other ones. Yeah, certainly these two lovely ladies are not the only ones, but you know, they're wonderful at what they do. Make sure when you do your homework, you won't get those. You may get a not as satisfactory experience with anybody outsourced, because it's not your own mind and your own energy, but you won't have that horrible, horrible fail that you would possibly get with a non-tech or non-AV company, I think.
Yeah, and that's a really bad fail. I've done that a couple times working, you know, and it doesn't work, especially if I think it can work fine if you have an inside marketing person that you're dealing with, but I think working with somebody that's familiar with the industry, that's been, you know, entrenched in, you know, the media outlets, the technology, and knows all the right people, I think it's a great idea for smaller companies. I mean, if you need help with marketing, go to these two gals, go to any of these companies, because that's where you're going to find, you know, the biggest bang for your buck, the best service, the best people. So, and this isn't an advertisement, I swear, but I'm just, as far as my experience goes, I feel like, I mean, I've failed with some large PR agencies, some small PR agencies, and it's just, for me, it was kind of a learning thing, but it definitely helps, because they understand what you're going through. They understand your needs. They know how to kind of delve in and give you a little bit of an audit and tell you, maybe you should be doing this, maybe you should be doing this. I guess, am I right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a matter of, you know, that necessarily, you know, these are the best 2 companies or the best 3 companies or the best 4 companies in the world, but because we are a weird little niche, we have special demands and special needs that your average marketers aren't going to get. I mean, I know when I shifted into this world, I had to go out and learn a whole lot of AV before I started, okay, now I'm ready to market and sell this stuff and really get word out there. And, you know, you can't just take somebody from a major agency that has nothing to do with technology and say, okay, before we do business with you, we need you to go out and get a CTS or take these classes from Infocom, because you won't understand what we're doing otherwise. So you think do your homework. These 2 companies, Marketing Matters and Caster, are 2 that I see names and faces a lot in our industry. There are a few others, but just research, find out who your manufacturers are using, find out who the big guys are using, and pursue them. So.
Yeah, editors are another good source for integrators. So if they've got a relationship with the trade editor, many times they can give them recommendations. And number one key, as Kelly mentioned, you've got to set those goals and do those reports and keep those programs on track, because that way you're building in a fail-safe. You're going to get your results. As the client shows up to those meetings and the regular communications, it's going to work.
Yeah, and one other thing about selecting your marketing company, now that we've narrowed it down to the small handful of weird niche marketing companies in our weird niche industry, you have to know what you want out of your outsourcing. So if you're going after someone to help you with your social media, don't hire NetCerta, for instance. I just was able to speak with their owner or one of their high account managers at the CI Summit down in Orlando about a month ago, and sat through their marketing class, and it was wonderful. I got a lot of great information from it, but their company doesn't focus on social media. In fact, they don't do a lot of it. They're more on the SEO front, the design front, so even within our weird little niche world, there are specialties, and I know from looking at both Caster and Marketing Matters sites, you both do a lot of the same things, but there are some differences, and I don't have the notes in front of me right here, but you don't all do exactly the same thing. You're not completely cookie cutter interchangeable, and I think that's true of all the marketing companies and even marketing individuals that you might hire to work directly with your integrator, on staff. We all have different specialties. I know nothing about PR. I will be calling one of you ladies to help me out with some of this PR stuff, but that's not my sort of wheelhouse. So make sure when you're doing your initial homework on these things, integrators, check not only do they know our industry, but what areas of marketing, PR, advertising, etc. are you looking for that they may or may not offer?
That's a really good point. I've dealt with a company I had worked with prior that was a great kind of digital media, social media company, but wasn't like a website design programming company at all. And they said they were, but it just ended up being a bit of a mess. So yes, do your homework.
It's easy to say you are.
Yes.
So we mentioned the trust issue, and we mentioned outsourcing social media, so I'll just go ahead and throw this bomb in the conversation. One of the things that I think has a lot of people scared, not just about outsourcing, but about the whole concept of social media, that I've been trying to counter with some of the classes I've taught at Infocom. It came up at the CI Summit in the roundtables. Every table had at least one person panicked about it, is the issue of, oh my God, someone's going to screw something up, and we're going to be that case study in a book on how not to do social media. And we get the arguments back and forth, oh my God, never outsource because that outsourced company doesn't know your company, they're going to screw it up. Or definitely outsource because they know what they're doing and they're not going to screw it up, and your intern, Timmy, that's here sending texts, and who knows what he's saying on social media, he's going to screw it up. Do you have any kind of perspective on that, or
Good question.
I definitely do. If I can jump in real quick, just because social media was one of the things that Caster has always really done, but when I joined, I came originally from a digital marketing firm that was heavy social and SEO. So I brought a lot of best practices with me to Caster, and it's been a lot of fun to watch it really grow. And I alone, out of our, I want to say 13 clients, I probably manage daily at least half of them full social media programs, and that's Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter, everything. And I'm not saying that we started full social media programs from day one, but clients, some of our vendors, we always add social media into every program. If you're going to work with us, vendor, integrator, we always have social media in there because it's important. It might just be supportive in the sense that you have someone internally who's doing it, but will help with the PR end, meaning we'll pitch on social media because there are a lot of editors who pay attention to that, or we'll help with a product launch or an event and making sure that we have a unique hashtag for it, and we're really supporting all of the PR elements through social media. But then there are clients where we run their full social program, and we don't do that on our own completely. There's always someone in-house who lets us know, okay, we've got this event going on, or we worked with this specific charity, we want to highlight this community event, we want to talk about this training that we have coming up. So we're always keeping our finger on the pulse as to what's going on at that manufacturer or that integrator or that distributor company by working with someone internally. But again, like, we are the ones who have the time to dedicate to it. So I'm on call almost 24/7. I'm always, monitoring the tweets that come in, the Facebook posts. I mean, so many people are using social media as a customer service tool. They're tweeting about questions or issues with their systems. Even things such as, what color should I, paint the wall behind my new flat panel. I mean, we get the craziest things. And you have to be there and be present to answer and connect them with someone internally. So it really is a full-time job in its own. So, trusting your PR, your marketing partner to be able to do that with help from someone internally who can keep us sort of on the ball and know what's going on with you as a company is really important. Because if you're going to do social well, you need to dedicate the time to it. And I can't see any integrator that's got the time to do that on the level that a marketing partner or PR partner can do for you.
Never let the intern run it. Please. The social media, just like any of your other marketing tools, needs strategy. So, and then it has to be implemented correctly, and that's how you're going to avoid having your reputation damaged and having to apologize and do all those silly things that put you in the PR rags. So, yeah.
So do you guys? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And if you go back through our archives, Kelly and I did at least one, possibly two shows last year on online reputation management and on cleaning up from screw-ups on social media. So what not to do and how to fix it.
Yeah, because programs can range depending on your needs. So, if smaller companies can get a smaller program and grow as they need to. It's, so everybody should get it, and it's a long-term investment. You have to talk to your audiences in the way they want to talk to you. So some people really like Twitter, and to get to Kelly's point, it's she's on Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, et cetera, every day for lots and lots of people, and it's a job.
Yeah, and Colin, you bring up a really good point too, is that it really does matter on their budget and their needs. So although I might have one client that's on everything, it might not always make sense for another client. So especially with integrators, I mean, I think Pinterest is wonderful because it's so visual, but I actually would recommend Houzz over anything else. So if you only have time for let's say two platforms, I would say Facebook and Houzz. Facebook is always my number one because it's so easy and convenient and comfortable for so many people. So you're going to reach a broader audience who's sort of clued in and always on. But Houzz is wonderful. Pinterest makes sense, and then when you look at LinkedIn and Google+, I mean, those are the ones that, if you've got the time to dedicate to it, great. But again, thinking about who you're trying to reach, LinkedIn is a more professional networking tool. So if you're looking to, maybe hire a new integrator, great. Go on there, browse some people in your area. If you want to share thought leadership, great. Go in and join some groups and share comments. But it's not something you need to dedicate time to every single day. I think it's the ones that you're really going to reach your target audience that you want to use, and that would be Facebook and Houzz. Because I definitely get pushback on Twitter from integrators. But then at the same time, you've got the integrators who are really active and use the live install hashtag or AV tweets. So like Colleen said, it really comes down to the needs, what your goals are and who you're trying to reach, and then of course the budget and the time that you have to put into it.
And you just brought up another perfect point, and that's know who your audience is. So Kelly, I know your company works a lot with the resi market, the home integrators. And so in those cases, Facebook is absolutely, and Houzz are absolutely where you want to be. For those of us that never touch home theater except for our own, and even that's kind of iffy, looking completely and strictly in the corporate or federal or whatever markets, in our cases, maybe Twitter makes a lot more sense than Facebook.
Right.
Maybe maybe something like Spiceworks or Google Plus or LinkedIn is where we definitely want to focus. You just have to kind of approach it different. So I think about where your audience is and go there. If our
Exactly.
audience was a bunch of 14-year-old kids, we'd go over to Snapchat or whatever the kids are using these days. But
Well, we recommend to a lot of folks too, and virtually everybody should, the Hootsuite. Oh my gosh, shorten your time and do Google Plus. I really pretty much insist on Google Plus for the SEO. Who's got a better search results than Google? So if you're on a Hootsuite account, you can just push everything through to Google Plus. It's economical. To a certain extent, you're going to have to adjust messaging. But if you can slide Google Plus in here, the SEO benefits, I think, are worth it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And also what Colleen said that I can't stress enough is, making sure you are tweaking those messages too. I mean, those scheduling tools are awesome because they save so much time. I mean, I used Hootsuite up until probably a year ago, and I switched to AVSocial because in terms of reporting, it's a really great tool. You get these beautiful PDF reports that show impressions and reach, and it's great. I mean, it might not necessarily always make sense for every integrator unless you have someone that really is interested in those metrics, but I love that tool, and it's easy because I can connect Google Plus, I can connect Facebook, I can connect Twitter, and I can write my own message for each. So I don't have to, you really want to pay attention to who your audience is on those platforms. So LinkedIn's more professional. You're not going to write the same kind of lighthearted commentary that you would on Facebook. Google Plus, you want to make sure you're getting those keywords in there because of the SEO factor. So that's a great point about tweaking the messaging so that it not only fits the audience, but it fits that social platform.
They each have a different audience, that's for sure.
yeah.
I'm taking notes because I'm learning things.
Well, but like even as Kelly brought up is, LinkedIn for integrators. Depending on the integrator, it could work because if they're connected to a lot of the clients and they have these relationships and say they're taking on a new lighting controls line, that's going to be a good way to get to those folks. You want to go back to those customers where you can. I know I'm like my installer loves me. I have him over at least a couple times a year. My husband's lived through 8 control systems. So, there are opportunities there too. But again, pick the right message for the right platform.
And that's one of the big key things is thinking about, we're using a lot of us social media to connect with our customers, but 9 times out of 10, my own firm was guilty of it for a while as well. We get on LinkedIn and then we join all the industry groups for our industry, and that's great. We can talk about women in AV, we can talk about AV tweets, and we can talk about what's going on with commercial integrator or sound and communications, or this manufacturer, that manufacturer, but we're not talking to our customers, and you might as well just be, singing to yourself in a room alone if you're not actually connecting with your customers.
Yeah.
So, if you, in my case, we do lots of federal work, go to find some of the federal groups on LinkedIn. Or, if you mainly work in healthcare, go talk to some of the groups on LinkedIn that are healthcare-centric groups or healthcare technology groups. Things like that. Just really focus on why am I using social, who am I trying to connect with, and then go where they are. I think it is the takeaway there. Kelly, anything to add? Still taking notes, I think.
No, I think you wrapped it up pretty good there. I mean, it's all about knowing your audience. It's all about making sure you're reaching who you're trying to reach. I was just thinking about it because when I left, I used to work on the manufacturer side for Vadio, and when I left there, I had to readjust all of my groups for LinkedIn because it's like, okay, now this doesn't make any sense anymore. And even just trying to find, going through and trying to find Twitter followers, it was like, it was almost like a game sort of, because we have offices in different areas, and a lot of our offices are really strong in one vertical market versus another, and we're always trying to, get larger and whatnot, but, so it's like in certain areas I was trying to follow on Twitter, like certain higher education institutions. Some areas I was trying to follow more of our customers or potential customers that are like larger enterprise or corporate type businesses. So, no, you have a really good point. It's definitely going after the right people, through the right verticals.
And the intern cannot do that,
Yeah.
nor can the neighbor's kid, just because they know how to use a computer.
Yeah, I mean, that is a really big misconception is that, even when we're looking to hire interns ourselves at Castor, you think because someone's right out of college, oh, they're immersed in Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and, Google Plus, they know how to use all these tools, but most of them have just used them for fun. They've never used them for business. So it really takes, the professional who's had to do that and had to, especially, a firm like one of ours who has multiple different kinds of clients. So we've touched so many different types of publications and influencers that, we get how to do social media for businesses. And I think that is a really big misconception that the younger, I mean, I'm still pretty young, but people, my age or younger are so great at social because we sort of grew up with it. But it really takes the strategic mind and the implementation to make it work, not just the age and the fact that you might have a Facebook app on your smartphone.
Well, it comes down to experience,
Right.
we're all better as so, and then because a lot of folks have that I am much older than you, Kelly, and people think that I'm too. Yes, I know how to do social media. Yes, we can. Just because I'm not 30 any longer, I still understand it. So yes, it comes down to the experience. That's key.
So how about this? Why don't companies, let's say, hire a young person out of college and, for example, hire one of your firms to help consult them and teach them some of this experience? I mean,
They
you guys do things like that?
Oh, yeah.
It happens. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, does it work out positively, or is it?
Well, we go in, understanding that they're paying us to teach them, and that's okay. Going in.
Okay. Just, I haven't really heard of that, so I was curious if.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, Kelly. I'm sure you've seen it.
I've definitely worked with integrators before who've had someone that was sort of an intern, like through, doing an internship through college, and then got hired out of school. So they've kind of always, they have some experience and they've continued to build on it. And now, this is their big chance to sort of take over a specific part of the marketing department, whether it's social or email campaigns or, events and trainings. So I've definitely experienced that. And as long as they're willing and they really are, I mean, that's the thing about our industry is you have to be passionate about it. I remember when I first interviewed with my boss, Kimberly Lancaster, and she had told me, and I'd never done tech. I previously worked in insurance marketing, which you can imagine how exciting that is. And she said, you have to really have a passion for the technology, and you'll get it. And either you'll have that day where you realize you're obsessed with technology and you're never going to want to leave this industry, or you'll know it's not right for you. And the same goes for an intern or an entry-level person that an integrator might hire. You'll know if they appreciate it and they get it. And if they do, it's going to end up being a really great learning opportunity for them, and it's going to be great for your business. I mean, now I geek out over speakers and digital signage, and I probably wouldn't have said that a couple of years ago. But once you sort of get that tech bug and that AV bug, it's great for everyone involved because the passion and the excitement that you have for the products and the sort of installation and the whole business, it's really going to show through in your social media and your content and your PR and your strategy overall. So, I mean, long story short, you find the right person, no matter what age, you can mold them, and we can certainly, a firm like ours can certainly help with that as well.
Yet again, a reason to hire a tech-specific marketing or PR firm, because we're all tech geeks and we all like to play with gadgets and toys and gizmos. Your average marketing person maybe doesn't. So great. Let's see. Kelly Perkins brought up a great discussion that happened on LinkedIn recently, where Laurie Englert from Chief had some questions about integrators and how we do things on the marketing front. And one of the things that she had asked was how do we do things more efficiently? whether we're outsourcing to you all, which obviously that'd be more efficient for me, just Colleen will handle it or Kelly will handle it. I don't have to worry about it now. But trying to do things a little internally. Is there any kind of best practice that you'd be willing to share on maybe how to do things a little more efficiently and
Great spreadsheets.
feel free to throw out any tips because we're all learning here. I'm like,
again, for on the social media side, use one of your management tools like Hootsuite or Sprout Social. That's certainly going to save you time. Work it in, like when you sit down, you've got your strategy sorted out. Work your like 80% of your schedule ahead of time, where you sit and you really think about what that strategy is, and you're creating posts that are relevant. You're going to have to do some fill-in in between. Yet you can get a large chunk of that where it's really, that core, that strategic plan that you can get all laid out. And you're far more efficient doing that in one block of time rather than trying to, because an integrator is not going to have the resources to do it every day. It's going to be a once or twice a week, and then maybe a quick post it on Facebook while they're at a job site or whatever. So you're far more efficient to work that while you are in that mindset, and you can really accomplish a whole lot more in a whole lot less time.
Great. Kelly, anything to add? Or
Yeah, I think my two big things, number one, would be reports. Whether you're doing it yourself internally or you're working with a firm and outsourcing, we live and breathe by reports because it's a catch-all. It makes sure that we're hitting deadlines, that we're sort of following the news cycle and the news cadence that the client laid out. And then it also keeps us all accountable. So we track the status of everything. If it's something that us as the marketing partners falling behind on, we have it written down. We know that that's our next top action item. Or if it's something that we're waiting on the client to respond back and improve on and approve, it's a great catch-all, and again, really helps the accountability. That, and then my second biggest thing, probably really just tied, I think it's equally as important, is maximizing your content. So once you've got all this great content coming in, whether it's editorial or it's blog posts that you're writing yourself, or even just sharing industry news that's relevant to your business, maximize it. I take one press release and I will turn it into 6 different tweets. Or I will take one article and turn it into a Facebook post, a Google Plus post, and then another 4 tweets that I'll schedule throughout the week. And how do you do that? I mean, my sort of little cheat, or I guess my best practice, is pulling out separate quotes. So you might tweet the article once and tweet the headline and then use some hashtags and then the link. Then I might tweet it the next day, but I pull out a key quote from that specific article or press release. And then I might tweet it 2 days later and I pulled the subhead this time, or a statistic. So it looks like different content, but you're still promoting that same piece. And again, you can do that with a blog post, so you're driving traffic back to your website. You can do that with coverage that you've garnered from a press release or a Q&A, or whatever it might, a contributed article. And you can do that with industry articles as well. I mean, this is the time of the year where state of the industry reports are coming out, so that's a great type of filler content for social media. And it's all about taking that one piece of content and using it in multiple ways. And it makes it easier on your in-house marketing person if they're the one running your social media program, for example, because they don't have to stress about having 7 different tweets with 7 different articles. Really maximize the content that you're creating and the content that's being created throughout the industry.
Yeah, Kelly, that's a fantastic point, and one that we hear more and more often. A lot of the industry experts in marketing and sales, not tech, weird niche industry marketing and sales, but in general, they say, when you're using social media, you want to send out information at like an 8-to-1 ratio or a 10-to-1 ratio, or I've even heard like a 20 or 30-to-1 ratio, where you're providing actual content, actual information, whether it's from your company or someone completely different, and then send out that one tweet or that one post that says, "Hey, buy from us, by the way."
Right.
That way your followers, your friends, your whatever they call them on that particular social network, don't hate you for just being, just sales. Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Nobody wants to be pitched.
Exactly. And yet they all do, oddly enough. I just don't know they do. They want to be doing it subtly.
We all see a lot of that in our feeds every day. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're coming up on an hour. We've probably been jabbering away for 45 minutes here or so. I guess, Kelly, do you have anything else to add or ask these fine ladies while we've got them here this evening?
I don't at the moment, but I probably have some follow-up emails or phone calls.
I know I will as well. And if anything great comes out of those, we'll follow up with a blog post or two on the AVNation.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to thank Colleen Stearns-Leith from Marketing Matters for being with us this evening, as well as Kelly Ahern from Caster Communications. It's been wonderful and educational, I know, for me and for my lovely co-host Kelly. And hope you all will come back sometime and join us again.
Would love to. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, you guys.
And it's kind of an AVNation tradition here. We'll throw it out to each of you. Colleen, how can people get in touch with you or Marketing Matters? Either email, phone, Twitter, whatever you'd like to.
Twitter at Colleen L, as in Leith, and email Colleen, COLEEN, at marketingmatters.net.
Okay, wonderful. Kelly, same question to you. Where can we find you?
Yeah, definitely on Twitter. I'm on there pretty much 24/7, and that's just at Kelly_Ahern, AHERN. And email is pretty much the same, kahern@castercom.com.
Wonderful. And Perkins, we'll throw it to you as well. Where can people find you if anyone wants to talk with you?
You can find me on Twitter at AVI_Kelly or Kelly.Perkins@AVIsystems.com.
Wonderful. And of course, I'm Dawn Mead from NetAV. You can find me on Twitter at AVDawn. You can also find me at on NetAV, dmeade, DMEADE, at net-av.com. We'd love to chat with you at any time. Feel free to shoot us an email, shoot us a message. And thanks so much for watching AVSocial this evening. And I think the upshot of all of this is if you're overwhelmed with your marketing, just to steal the words of Queen Elsa, let it go, hire one of these folks, and let's just keep on marketing, folks. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.